Hi, welcome back to Sophia Codes. My name is Sophia Scacera, and today I will be demoing the start of Unit 3 with my Unit 3 Lab 1 project titled Tic Tac Toe. In this lab, there is one sprite that has 3 different costumes. There is the empty costume, the X, and the O costume. Within this lab, I mentioned making clones, in which I'm referring to making copies of the sprite. In the code, I will explain how I made it so that there will only ever be clones of the empty sprite costume. In the tic-tac-toe game, there is a 3x3 board. The make board code does what it's named. It makes that 3x3 board. Starting off with clear, this is just so that there is a fresh slate and the players can start anew. Then the sprite goes to where the X value is -50 and the Y value is 50. I chose these coordinates because they look to be the most in the middle of the stage as possible. Then the program waits for 1 second before it welcomes the players by saying, "Welcome to Sophia's tic-tac-toe game. Enjoy," with a smiley face. Then the program waits another second before it creates the actual board. I will begin by explaining the column code. Because the column code is within the row code, the columns are created while the rows are being built. So starting with for column equals 1 to 3, I put create a clone of myself and change X by 50. The sprite copies itself and changes the X value by 50. I got the number 50 because on the website that I use for this course, it states that the sprites are 50 steps wide and 50 steps tall. So I figured that if I made the X value change by 50, then it would allow the sprite to create other copies instead of just going over the same copy forever. The rest of the row code has the X value change by -150 and the Y value change by -50. These 2 lines of code make it so that the sprite starts at the ending point of the last row of squares. Once again, this is so that the sprite can create new rows instead of just going over the same row forever. Next is the outside code. So to start, when the green flag is clicked, the sprite changes to the costume empty. This line makes it so that the sprite never begins the game with an X or an O costume. Then the sprite shows up on the stage, the make board code runs, and then the sprite hides so that it's not mistaken by the players as a 10th square within the tic-tac-toe game. The last piece of code has a variable called X's turn set to true. This means that when it is X's turn, the variable is true, but when it is O's turn, it is false. I will further explain this with the next set of code. The next set of code is the actual game. To start, when a square is clicked, if the square has a costume with the name empty, then the next couple of lines of code runs. However, if the square has a costume with the name X or O, then the program says to the player, "I've already been chosen. Try again." The pieces of code within this set start off with if X's turn, switch to costume X, then set the variable to false. This allows the person that's playing X to pick their square, and the square will appear with an X. To allow the person that's playing O to choose their square, the code changes the variable's meaning so that the costume X doesn't show up again. However, if it is not X's turn, then the chosen square will switch from an empty to O, and will set the variable back to true to allow the person playing X to continue the game so that the costume O doesn't show up again either. I will now demonstrate this code. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video where I continue Unit 3 with my second lab. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment what your favorite project has been from the last 2 units. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.